A pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome once again to another edition of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's guest menu, May 15th, 2021, looks like this. He's the Associate Director of Sports or Associate Sports Information Director at Southern University, Willie Scott. He'll join me in hour number one. Then following Willie Scott, for the first time on the show, Coach Zach Grossi, the offensive coordinator at Southern University. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Coach Grossi here on the Coles Brown Show. Then in hour number two guests lined up for you. Coach Van Pettaway, after a week off, he's back in the fold joining me on the Coles Brown Show. And then last but not least, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Quite simply, he'll recap the 2021 softball championship and also give you his perspective on the upcoming 2021 baseball SWAC tournament championship, which starts Wednesday in Madison, Alabama. That's what's happening in the guest menu. Here's what's trending on the Coles Brown Show. Congratulations in store to Alabama State, SWAC 2021 softball champions. And boy, they really earned the tournament championship. We'll get a little bit more into a couple of other games throughout the tournament, but congratulations to Alabama State. Also, congratulations in store for Jordan Lewis. He's the FCA 88 Defensive Player of the Year, and he was quite simply a terror in the spring season for Southern University. So kudos to Jordan Lewis. A couple other awards he's still up. We'll find out one today if he will win that award. But just truly, just a speed rush specialist. And then last but not least, the SWAC announces the baseball tournament seedings. Prairie View number one out of the West. Jackson State number one out of the East. And by the way, Jackson State undefeated in conference play. Is there a lot of pressure on Jackson State? Quite simply, Alabama State's playing well. They'll get it started Wednesday. That's what's trending on today's Coles Brown Show. Willie Scott, Coach Zach Grossi, Coach Van Pettaway, and Charles Edmond on today's show. Well, I just want to say also to Southern University softball team and Alcorn State softball team, they really exceeded my expectations in the 2021 softball tournament for Southern University and Alcorn State. I think it's something to build on going forward. For Southern University, there are two losses, both by identical scores. Can you believe it? To Alabama State and Alcorn State. And quite simply, they can build on this, and they were not able to finish ball games in the tournament in the two losses. Holding leads late in both ball games, a hit here, a play there, they advanced. But Alabama State truly was the best team in the tournament. Very well in the regular season. They got it done. Is there a chance that you can build off of this? You know, some disappointment, I'm sure, but hey, they exceeded my expectations. And Coach Garris, he'll have his young ladies ready and have momentum going into the next softball season. Dr. Prince, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. How are you on this lovely Saturday?
I came in there with a kind of quick one there. Good morning. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Man, I dare not complain. God's been good to this old boy, man, and I just bask in his glory.
Yeah, I can understand that. Baseball tournament coming up. Well, before that, the softball tournament championship, and I must admit, I haven't really followed it this season like I should have, but getting a chance to watch it on the SWAC Digital Network, it was some outstanding ball games. What were your thoughts on the softball tournament?
I thought it was a very competitive tournament from start to finish. Excited. I was really thrilled on the performance of Alcorn and Southern from the 4 seeds, wrecking the havoc that they did. If there were some disappointments, you would probably point toward Jackson and Texas Southern because the 2 number 1 seeds, although every contest was close, the only true decisive win was actually the championship game where Alabama State, took the big lead, but every game was competitive, had some few extra inning games, but exciting from beginning to end. And I love the spirit and the competition of softball in particular. It's a fast-paced game, very exciting game, and it's very competitive from top to bottom.
Yes, it is. And 7 innings, and then that Southern Alabama State game, and listening to Alabama State coach, he in essence said that was the championship game because Southern had a 2-run lead late in that ball game.
Right.
And
right.
they just battled and 7 innings, then you end up going 11 innings. It truly, what was it? Sacrifice?
Yes.
From third base to home?
Yes, sir.
And boy, that timing is everything, and you just can't put your head down. I mean, you're disappointed if you're Southern and Alcorn State fans, but they exceeded my expectations, and again, it's something to build on towards next season.
Absolutely. Well, you could be disappointed, but I would, in their cases, look at the glass as half full versus that being half empty. You come in as a number 4 seed, you hold your own against the upper echelon, if you would, of the conference, and you get it to where you want to be because all you want is a chance to be in the tournament. And once you show their chance of being in the tournament, then your determination, a little bit of luck, and your skill set takes over. And they did not lack in either. They just came up a little bit short. And for the record, I do love the international rule once you get past the ninth inning of softball extra inning play that you put a runner at second base. I think it brings a different element to the game, a bit more intensity, and it even quickens the game from being long and drawn out.
Yeah, well, it's fast. To me, it's fast-paced anyway.
No doubt, no doubt. So much can happen. You give and take in softball versus what you would get in baseball. There are not a lot of double plays, in particular the traditional way, 6-4, 3-4, 6-3. You get double plays by catching a pop fly and catching a runner maybe wandering too far off the base pad. But you can take a bunt, and a bunt can bring in a score from second base if not handled properly. And there's so many moving elements, exciting moving elements, that make softball a very treat, at least for me, to watch.
Well, for Alabama State, once again, with an 8-1 victory over Alcorn State, playing the SWAC championship. Now they'll wait and see where they will be sent in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely.
Jordan Lewis, FCS ADA Defensive Player of the Year, also FCS Stat Performance All-American Team, first team. And they've got a couple of other SWAC notables and HBCU notables that made the team. But Jordan Lewis, wow, you saw the talent the first season at Southern University as a freshman. Sophomore year, people knew of him, and I believe teams schemed against him or for him. And then in the spring season, he elevated it, albeit doing a shortened spring season and doing a pandemic. But he has been able to just progress nicely. And the question will be, going into the fall 2021, can he even extend his play, get even better? But congratulations to him. Hats off to him. Well, that's a great honor, and I'm sure he will say that. Guess what? He had help in getting this award, so it's a team award.
Oh, no doubt, it's a team reward, but it's also a reward to acknowledge that it wasn't a fluke. And when I say that, most cases, whenever a guy comes into a conference, whether it's a SWAC, MEAC, SCS, or whatever, and they have success in their first year, not a lot of film on them, really don't know what their strengths and weaknesses are. And that hump year is that sophomore year they refer to as the sophomore jinx. And to receive this reward in his sophomore year lets you know that his skill sets are on point and nothing but up is for this guy's stock as far as his future is concerned.
We wish him the best. Jordan Lewis. Tremendous job. I'm sure he would have liked to have made it to the championship game, one game short in the spring. But there's the fall. And with two teams, two programs, two institutions coming into the Southwestern Athletic Conference, it is going to be an exciting time, to say the least. Each week, it's going to be a war, literally. And there's no room for error. So on that note, I'm going to take a quick time out. When I come back, I'll visit with Willie Scott, Associate Sports Information Director or Director of Sports Information. Associate Director Willie Scott joins me next. Following Willie Scott, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Southern University, Coach Zach Grossi. I think this will be the first time that he's been on any type of media show, television. Interesting. Interesting, to say the least. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Nearly a century ago, 6 academic institutions joined each other in Houston, Texas to form a sturdy, spirited association. Since that time, they've developed to become one of the leading collegiate athletic associations in the world, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. From the southeastern region of the United States and Alabama to the second largest state in the country in Texas, the parishes of Louisiana through the Mississippi River, and the natural state of Arkansas. Students from all over the world demonstrate the ability to perform, achieve, and excel in scholastic activities. Be a part of history. Be a part of the SWAC experience. Stand and be counted among the best in academics, athletics, music, stewardship. Create your world of contacts and friendships that last a lifetime. We are proud of our past and value our traditions. We will always carry a spirit of respect and competition. We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Honor the heritage.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. He is the Associate Director of Sports Information at Southern University, Willie Scott. Willie Scott joins me. Willie, good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, Carlos. I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Well, pleasure to have you on the Carlos Brown Show. First and foremost, before we get into the meat of the interview, what about that softball game, Southern University and Alabama State, and Coach Garris and that softball team and the young ladies? Tremendous job in this SWAC tournament championship.
Oh, man. It was Uh,
Willie, you breaking up.
that was an outstanding game. I would say anybody that paid to go to that game got their full money's worth, man. We jumped out on them in the middle of the, probably I will say the third inning on a 3-0 run, and they came back in the sixth inning and got 3 runs to tie the game up. It was a pitching duel from that point on, man. In the 8th inning, I want to say both teams got 2 runs to make it 5-5. Then next thing you know, next inning they got another run to make it 6-6, and then some things happened that was transpired with women's softball, where like in the 10th inning, you put a runner on second and makes it a little easier to get the game closed out. But I mean, I got my hat to go out to the Alabama State coaching staff and their pitching because they did an excellent job. My heart goes out to senior that came back, Aubrey James, that came back to us this softball season to do the amazing things she did. She was a first-team all-SWAC outfielder. She played pitcher and outfielder. She hit the ball. She did everything she can to keep her team intact to be able to play the semifinal game. And on yesterday in the elimination game from the losers bracket, she did the same thing. I think this young lady probably pitched close to 30 innings in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But we fell yesterday again, 7-6 to Alcorn State Braves. My hat goes off to them and their coaching staff and their program. We fell short from our goal, but the thing is, though, the team's young. They actually got an opportunity to do some great things. Coach Garrison, Coach Monroe at Southern with the softball program, they're probably a piece or two away from being a dominant team, but with what they have coming back, they'll be very, very keen to be back in the same situation or possibly being in a semifinal game in the tournament in 22.
Well, Willie, and I mentioned in the opening of the show, this is an opportunity, I believe, for Southern and Alcorn State to build off of this moment and now getting some experience and being that close. It's a momentum builder. Would you agree?
Yeah, you're right.
Well, Willie, now I want to move to talking a little bit about a typical day for you as in the sports information department, and then I'll follow that up with how was it working during a pandemic. I would think you're a very busy man, you and your staff, but talk about how that day goes, typical day.
Oh man, that day can start anywhere from 6 a.m. and can end anywhere by 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. During the pandemic, it was a time that you've never seen before because when the Southwest Athletic Conference decided to move football from the fall to the spring, as well as all the other fall sports, the only sport we did not play this spring semester was cross country. But we had football, we had track and field, we had volleyball, soccer, then your normal spring sports where I guess you can. So we had indoor track and field, but then you brought into your normal spring sports of softball, baseball, track and field, tennis, bowling, all that stuff coincided, and it was all rolling at one time. And when I tell you, it was not myself. Coach Rodney Kirshner, the other assistant sports information director at Southern, Taylor Jean Lewis. We were like chicken with our heads cut off every single day. We split up the sports. Split up the sports, you know yourself, in HBCU land. You can split them off all you want, but it's still all hands on deck every day. And it was tiring but promising. And the thing that made the spring more delightful was the sit back in A.W. Mumford Stadium yesterday morning and watch these student athletes walk across the stage to get their degree to say, Mama, I did it. Daddy, I did it. What I told you I was coming to Southern University for, I did. And that makes the job a lot more easier to do.
I can imagine so, Willie. I mean, every time I look at, and by the way, congratulations to all of the graduates throughout the conference and this country. It kind of makes me think back to 2010 when I graduated from Southern University. So I know the proud parents, I know administrators, all across the board are very happy. You mentioned working the long hours, and you mentioned the guys and the ladies who work with you. Do you ever get the feeling though that maybe are you appreciated enough, and do you believe most people, do they believe how tough it is or how important of a job that you guys do?
I would say on the appreciation factor part of it, yes, we are, because our administrators know what we go through. Our student athletes know what we go through. I mean, you, Carlos, we talk all the time. You know exactly what goes on Southern's campus at all times, because for one, you're an alumnus, 2, you're in our area. And I feel appreciation from the media, from the staff, everything like that. But as far as some people taking for granted of what we do or how we do it, sometimes it is because it's almost to the point of that everybody is important at that given time. But in my job, I can't make any or prioritize anything over the next because of the fact of I still have anywhere from 350 to 450 student athletes on a daily basis, and anywhere from 25 to 30 coaches that depends on us every single day of our careers and our lives to be able to make sure that we put our best foot forward for them. Because at the end of the day, without a student athlete or without a coach or without media outlets tapping into our world on a daily basis, there would be no sports information nowhere.
I'm visiting with Willie Scott, Associate Director of Sports Information at Southern University. A listener wanted to know what size staff you have to work with at Southern University, and how does it compare to other SWAC schools, if you can answer that.
My staff that we have in our department, Rodney Kirschner is the Director of Sports Information.
All right.
Myself is the Associate Director of Sports Information. Then we have Taylor Jean Lewis. That's the Assistant Sports Information Director. So it's 3 of us. And with that 3 of us, we take care of 15 sports. And I'm proud to say that Southern University has voted on it, and we'll be adding golf coming up in the next year or so. Men and women golf. So you're talking now we're going from 15 sports to 17 sports. So it's a typical staff of 3. We're blessed at Southern University because we do have 3. Some schools only have 1 in our conference. Some have 2. Some have 1 and a bunch of student workers, or a GA and some student workers. But I will say that at Southern University, we are blessed to have 3 people that's sharing the duties on a day-to-day basis, and we're very hard together as a team to make the success of our department for our student athletes, the coaches, staff, and the university.
Willie, you said you guys split up the coverage and what you do for the teams. Is one sport harder than the other, or they basically all the same as far as the coverage?
No, I take this. I will say that football is probably the hardest to cover because football everywhere in the country is all hands on deck. Mm-hmm. No matter from the HBCUs to the FBS schools to the NAIA to the JUCO, football. if you look at a single sport hard to coverage, I think sometimes it's the smaller sports because they don't get as much accomplishments. They don't get as much media outlet coverage. They don't get as much money in their budget to do the things that they do, that they go out and those coaches and those student athletes does an excellent job. And I try my harder for those sports to come in the bigger ones because at the end of the day, those young men, those young women are still student athletes like the football players or the basketball players or the baseball players that are playing on national TV. That's my thing sometimes is the hardest is because of the smaller sports have smaller things going on, budgets, equipment issues, everything like that and such. So I try to channel those sports a little closer, a little harder. Like I was in Houston, Texas with track and field and softball. I try to just dabble in and take care of the help Taylor Jean with volleyball at home. It's a thing that we got to kind of prioritize ourselves on a daily basis. And the thing about being in sports information is you have to be well organized. If you're not well organized, you will get yourself in a pickle to having so much going on at one time. It'd be so overwhelming till you don't know what to do.
Yeah, I can understand that organization, and it is, you work long hours, but I guess I could say it's gratifying, especially if your heart is in it, Willie.
Yes. That's 100% right, Carlos, because you have to wake up every morning in a mindset of you got those student athletes number one priority on your list, those coaches number one priority on your list. But at the end of the day, you can't lose yourself in doing things certain ways that will end up hurting the university that you love by just doing stuff sporadic. You have to be able to be organized and do things out of the goodness of your heart to just be successful.
Well, Willie, I want to appreciate you for joining me here on the Carlos Brown Show. And I want to say publicly, thank you for the help with getting Coach Rollins on last week. That's another component of your job that you have to do, helping the media get interviews with coaches. And, of course, thank you for setting up Coach Grossi. I always want to say his name in a different way, but that's correct, right, Coach Grossi?
It's Grossi.
Okay, Coach Grossi. That's coming up in a matter of minutes. But appreciate your time. Let's talk again real soon because I just kind of wanted people to get what the sports information directors and associate directors, all in that department, what they do. And I'll say this, you guys should be appreciated. It is a very important job to do. You're the lifeline for the athletic department to get the word out. So we appreciate the time. Safe travels. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk again real soon. I promise.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Oh, thanks for having me.
All right. That was Willie Scott, Associate Director of Sports Information at Southern University. He joined me here on the Carlos Brown Show. Going to take a quick time out. Scheduled next is the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at Southern University. He's been in Baton Rouge, let's say going on 2 years now. A lot that we don't know about him, but also we want to know more about him. The offense going forward, the quarterback situation. What did he think at the end of the spring season? Was this one of the better teams, one of the hottest teams in the conference? How does that transition forward to the fall season? You have a championship roster right now. Take a quick time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
It always makes me feel good when I hear any selection from the human jukebox. I'll just say that. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard here exclusively on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Our next guest, he's entering, actually, I guess, year 2 on the Bluff. He previously was the quarterback's coach at Hampton University, and before that, he worked with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 5 years. Now at Southern University, Coach Zach Grossi, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Southern University. Coach, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Appreciate you guys having me on, and fired up to spend some time with you guys.
Well, we're excited to have you on as well, because I think this is your first time. You are kind of a mystery guy to the Jaguar Nation to a certain extent, but pleased to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be on, and anytime we can get out and represent Southern and talk to Jaguar Nation, it's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Let me start off first and foremost, if you can, getting to Southern University. Talk about that process and what attracted you to a place such as Southern University.
Well, it's interesting. I grew up in Tampa, Florida, and I would wake up every morning after Thanksgiving, and these two teams would be playing with these cool jerseys, and it would look like a really, really cool show, and I was always attracted to it, and I would watch it, and I would enjoy it, and growing up in Tampa, I actually had a relationship with Doug Williams, and I got to follow him, and so I always knew about the Bayou Classic, and then once I got into the coaching profession, you hear about teams that are doing some really good things, and I always just kind of followed Southern. And then I had the opportunity to interview with Coach Odoms, and then he offered me the offensive coordinator job. It was a no-brainer. We love being in the South. We love Baton Rouge. Me and my wife and my daughter, we really, really have enjoyed our time in Baton Rouge. And Southern is just such a great history, the great players, the pageantry, the human jukebox, the history of the university, the Hall of Fame players, the national championship. It's in recruiting, it's an easy thing to sell because it sells itself, because it has so much to offer in really so many unique ways in a really cool city in Baton Rouge. So it was a no-brainer for me coming down to Southern, chance for me to be the offensive coordinator. I knew they had really good players. They had a good culture in place. And, it's lived up to the hype as far as I'm concerned, for sure.
Coach, you're sharp as a tack. Because my next kind of question as I ease into this interview was the transition coming into Baton Rouge and the culture and kind of what are the things that you like. But you kind of jumped me on that one. You got it out before I could ask it.
Well, I'll just add in, I know I said it, but we really do love Baton Rouge, the people of Louisiana. Everybody from Louisiana is so proud to be from Louisiana. They're very welcoming, and anytime we have new coaches or new players coming in, I just tell them, I can't wait to tell them about Baton Rouge. And hey, if you're in the store and you ask somebody how their day's going, you better set 20 minutes aside, because you're going to be in a conversation, talking about just who knows what, and just because people are so genuine, people will hold the door for you and stuff like that, and everybody is so nice, and it really is a special place that we really do love living here.
I'm visiting with Coach Zach Grossi, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Southern University. So, Coach, you're at Southern University, then lo and behold, a pandemic hit. Then you have to play in the spring season. So talk about how that went and as far as the offense and how you progressed, because I believe at the end of the spring season, the offense was really, really rolling.
Yeah, I got the job and I got down here on March 1st. And I want to say the whole school, everybody went home, I think it was like March 10th or 11th. So I think I had one meeting with the offense, and that was it. I mean, I didn't get a chance to know any of the players, in depth, to really, really get to know them. So that was all virtual until we were able to come back. So that was certainly a unique circumstance. But the one thing it gave us, and you're always going to try to look for the positives, and it gave us time. It gave us time as a coaching staff to really sit down and decide what we wanted to do offensively, to really study our kids. And, I studied the SWAC. I watched probably every game in the SWAC for the last 2 years in that time, because we had so much time, and really got to learn, the SWAC and what plays in the SWAC and how teams are built and defenses are built and structured. And then how can we use our personnel and how do we get the ball to our best players and maximize their skill set. So the positive was it did give us time to really figure this thing out. And then once we were able to get on the grass, we were able to kind of, put some things in, tweak some things, and hey, look, we're going to throw this out. We'll do a little more of this. And even as we started this season, we were still tweaking and still kind of getting our feet under us. And once, the Texas Southern game was really a breakout game for us, and it all kind of came together, and we finished that season out. We have a system now. We kind of took what Southern had done in the past, molded it with some things that I wanted to do and some things that our offensive coaching staff, wanted to do. And it really came together nicely towards the middle of our season in the spring. And, we now have a system. We have a way that we're going to attack people. And, we're fired up about that, to continue to build on that and continue to, maybe add some pieces here as we load up for what's going to be one of the coolest, falls in the SWAC history.
Well, I had Coach Rollins on last, and I'm going to be respectful of not asking something where he told me basically he didn't want to give out any information because you never know who's listening. But he mentioned about tweaking some things offensively. Are you going to still do some of that leading up to the fall? And then too, looking at the roster, are you really excited? Because I use the word, they're built. The roster right now is in championship mode.
Yeah, I think with the offense, and I think in general, I mean, you're always on the hunt for what's new, what's next. How do you stay on the cutting edge of what's going on? Football is changing every day. Every day this game evolves, offense, defense. There's so many good coaches out there. There's so many good players. So I think we're never done evolving. It doesn't matter what the result is. We're always looking to evolve, add stuff. You go study people, you talk to people. Hey, how you doing this? How you doing that? And I'm not going to get into exactly what we're going on. Like Coach Rollins said, we're not going to give away everything, but I think you just always have to be in that mindset of looking to add plays and add little concepts. And I'm a thief now. I'll steal a play from anybody. And I got people sending me plays. My players are always sending me plays, and I think it's important to listen to those guys and give them. It empowers them when Ja'Kari Carter, our left tackle, comes up to me in the middle of a game and he says, "Hey, I think the reverse is there," and I said, "All right, let's call it." You're out there playing it, and it was an explosive run. So I think you're always trying to stay on the cutting edge of the game, and you're always trying to evolve to figure out what's the best way to get the ball into your player's hands, and how to attack people in ways that put them in conflict. And you got to listen to your players. You got to listen to people. There's no ego in our offensive room. There's no ego in this coaching staff. So we're always taking in ideas to evolve this thing and make it better. Because defenses are evolving. We can't run the same offense that we ran in the spring, in the fall. We have a core of what we do. We have a way that we game plan. We have a process that we follow. But you can't stand still in this game. It's adapt or die. And that's more true now than ever. So I think we're always looking to adapt and find new ways to get creative and get our best players the ball. Your second question was about the roster, correct?
Yeah. I said it was built. The roster as it is right now, it's built for a championship run.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
No question about it. I think when you look at the landscape of college football and all the different levels, there's really not that many teams that can win the whole thing. Like, there's just not. And when you look at our roster and where we're at with our leadership, with our players, with our depth, the way that we're built, we really have a chance to win the whole thing. Now, it's not going to be easy. I can promise you that, and I think everybody knows that. But it's definitely a talented roster, and we've got talent in the right place. We've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps, and it certainly won't be about talent for us in the fall. It'll be about discipline, attention to details. Do we do the things in preparation to put us in a chance to be successful in the game and to withstand the longevity of a SWAC season? That's going to be a test every single week. But it won't be about talent for us. We've got plenty of talent. It's now about, getting our guys to do the right things that it takes to play championship football and prepare on a day in and day out basis, offensively to do what we need to do and score the points and do the things that we need to do to control the game.
I'm visiting with Coach Zach Grossi, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at Southern University. Coach, couple of people already have jumped in, sent me messages when they found out you were going to be on the show. So the next two questions, if you don't mind, it will be from listeners. He says,
sure.
Barry says, good morning. Could you ask Coach Grossi, will we maintain the physicality in our offense that we displayed the last two games of the season? It was a thing of beauty.
Absolutely. I think, when Coach Rollins, mentioned it the other day in the staff meeting, and it's so true. You have to understand how you win. What is your path to victory at the current, school with the current players that you have? For us, it's playing physical. It's playing downhill football offensively. It's controlling the line of scrimmage, controlling the clock, creating explosive plays through the air, running the football, and scoring in the red zone. How we play is really it's a credit to our players and a credit to our culture. We absolutely believe in being physical. We've got a veteran offensive line that understands, what their role is in controlling the game, controlling the line of scrimmage, and what that does, for us. So to answer the question, we're always going to put a premium on being physical, controlling the line of scrimmage, and that kind of sets everything for us with our motion runs, and getting the ball in the perimeter, creating explosive plays through the air. that's certainly one of the pillars of how we believe that how we want to play offense here at Southern University.
And speaking of the offensive line, Coach, the next question comes from Willard, and he's out of Houston. He says, would you mind asking, Coach, will the O-line remain intact, and is there new players that he thinks will have an impact this fall?
Yeah, so first thing, the offensive line absolutely will remain intact. Anytime you have all 5 of your starters, be first team or second team all conference, that's certainly something that you want to keep intact. And Bernard Childs was kind of the 6th guy for us that played a lot, and he deserves as much credit as those top 5. We really played with those 6 consistently, and those guys, like I said, did a great job for us, did a great job doing what they needed to do during the week. They were able to keep themselves healthy, and we absolutely will look to keep those guys intact. Coach Ron says that we're a big man-led team, and I love our offensive line. They do a great job playing together. They do a great job communicating. All those guys, Jatari Carter, Jonathan Bishop, Dallas Black, Brian Williams, Jeremiah Stafford, and we've got some young guys that are coming up, and we're not going to name those names. We don't want to give too much away, but those guys lead us up front. They set the tone for us, and they do a great job, and we certainly like to keep them intact. Second question: if there's a guy that could, that could kind of break out this fall, we've got a bunch of guys. We've got some young guys that made some plays in the spring that we're going to look to enhance their roles and get them the ball a little more. Chandler Whitfield is a guy that transferred to us from Louisiana Monroe. He's a Zachary High School.
Yeah,
he couldn't play in the spring because he played for Monroe in the fall. So he'll be in the mix. We'll get Jamar Washington back. He's a guy that Southern fans know and love. He's made a lot of plays for us. He was out this spring, so we'll get him back. And we look to continue to develop all of our players. It really is about developing your players, teaching them the game, teaching them what how to play the game the right way, and it's on our coaches, it's on our older players, our leaders, to continue to help develop those guys, and the more that we can develop and bring our young guys along, the better it'll be for our offense, because we're going to need everybody now. It's a long season. I think we only played 5 games in the spring, and we had a couple bye weeks in there, so we're going to need everybody, and we got to have a great summer offensively. We got to get these guys in here, get them in the classroom. We got to get them in shape, and we're certainly going to need everybody. But those breakout players kind of come out of nowhere. Like Ethan Howard was a guy that came on late.
Oh, and, yeah.
He was a guy that in training camp, a freshman. I mean, he was 18 years old and kind of inconsistent. But the lights come on, and he was ready to go. So you just never really know where those guys are going to come from. That's why you got to continue to develop your entire, offensive roster and offensive unit. And that's what we strive to do. The more we can bring those guys along and develop them, the better it'll be for everybody.
Coach, watching the offense, and you mentioned about the Texas Southern game, and then that Jackson State game. I mean, that I guess now you can appreciate that rivalry. Nothing gets Jaguar Nation fired up as much as maybe Grambling and Jackson State. But the utilization of the tight end, also, you saw Sims coming out and being involved in pass routes. Is that something of a lost art? The tight end being involved in the offense, and your running back being a complete back that can run and catch passes.
Yeah, speaking about the tight end, I love tight ends. I really do think that they're the only position that is involved in every aspect of the game on every play. I mean, we've got some good ones. Coach Brown does a great job coaching those guys, and I think you love to have a variety of skill sets in that tight end room, which we do. I think being in the NFL, you learn a lot about tight ends and how to use tight ends and how to personnel them to use their different skill sets. Some guys are a little bit, more of those pass catchers where you split them out wide, and some guys are a little bit better inline blockers. But that's a real advantage for us, just being able to get in those heavy tight end sets and do a lot of different things. Run the ball, throw the ball, have them block, throw screens to them, split them out wide, and throw it to them down the field. So we love our tight ends, and we love using them because that creates, it just creates some different things that defenses have to defend. As far as Gerard Sims getting the ball, and like that Jackson State game, I think he touched it 25 times. That was the most he's touched it. I don't really care who we game plan to get the ball for. That's earned in practice. And that's how we do it here on our offense is you practice during the week the right way, and you come out and prepare the right way, then we're going to get you the ball during the games. I mean, we're trying to get the ball to guys, more importantly, that we can trust and that can make plays. And those two things right there, you earn that in practice, you earn that through your preparation. And I thought Gerard Sims did a great job developing as the season went on. And, he earned every one of those touches in that Jackson State game, and you see what he did with them. But throwing the ball to the tight end, throwing the ball to the running back, I just think it creates some mismatches there. Every defense, every coverage is really designed to cover the receivers, and how are they going to match the patterns of the receivers? And nobody game plans their defense to cover the running back. They're just kind of like, yeah, you got the running back. So the more that we can game plan to get those guys the ball, and get them an advantageous matchup for us. A lot of times you get those guys on those big linebackers and you get them in space, and it's that's a plus matchup for us. So all of our backs do a great job. Devon Ben, has been a name at Southern that's been doing it for a long time. He does a great job for us on third down with our pass protection, getting him the ball out of the backfield. Gerard Sims coming on, and we got some guys in the hopper that maybe people don't know about that we're going to get the ball to this fall. But I love getting the ball to everybody because that means we're sustaining drives and we're creating explosive plays. But that's all earned in practice, and Gerard Sims is a perfect example of that, of just keeping his head down and working really hard and maximizing, his chances when he gets his touches.
I'm visiting with Coach Zach Grossi, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at Southern University. Questions are still coming in for you. Coach, you're a popular guy. Very popular guy. Jack says, do we have any place kicker prospects on the roster are coming in?
All right. Well, I'm the offensive coordinator, so that is over my head. I do not deal with the place kicker question. I apologize to Jack Nation there, but I can't touch the place kicker question.
Well, maybe I can answer it. Jack, yes. They do have some that were signed, and according to some good sources, there's that word again, sources. Play calling. I had a question about play calling. How does that process go during the game?
How does the play calling process go during the game?
Are you solely responsible for the play calling, or do you have what's the word I'm looking for? Or do you have suggestions from during the week leading up to the game from the other offensive coaches?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a game plan process that we use. It's basically the game plan process we used when I was in Tampa, and I learned it from Dirk Cutter. He was the head coach when we were in Tampa, and it's really just I learned a lot from Dirk. But how to organize an offense, how to organize a game plan, how to set the week schedule. We're going to do first and second down, then third down, then red zone, short yardage, goal line, 4-minute, 2-minute, all the different situations in a game. You break that up by the week, and then you also divide that up with your assistant coaches. And so that's kind of our game plan process. So everybody's got input, and everybody has, different parts of the game plan that they're responsible for. A guy might have, hey, you got 3rd and 1 to 2. Some guy might have third and medium, 3rd and long, 3rd and extra long. Obviously, your own line coach is going to help you. He's going to have input in the run game, and so we kind of divide it up, and then we all come together and we kind of mix match ideas. Now it's interesting being in the coordinator seat. First time that I've had 51% of the vote, so it was cool. It was really cool to go through that, And we all kind of figured out our process and made little tweaks to the game plan process as we go. Like I said, this thing is, you're always trying to evolve. So,
Right.
so we go through the week. Everybody has input. We go through the practices. Like I said, I listen to the players. If a player brings me something and it's got value in it and it's coming from the right place and the player that's done his homework, we're going to put it in. If the guys aren't having fun and they're not excited about what you're doing offensively, then that's going to make it dry. Ryan Fitzpatrick was our one of our quarterbacks in Tampa. And I'll never forget, we were standing at a walkthrough before a walkthrough, and he said, Zach, just make sure you always make sure this thing is fun, because this gets long and gets dry. And it's so true. It's so true. You gotta have some fun. There's a time for work, and we're certainly a hard-working, disciplined operation. You gotta have some fun with this thing. But back to game plan, we go through our weekly process. We finalize the call sheet, and that call sheet is divided up in sections. And like first and second down, then third down, short yardage, goal line, 4-minute, 2-minute backed up. And I just kind of, and I get a feel for what I want to call. And we do a lot to personnel our plays. We do a lot to personnel our plays and a lot of substitutions. Some offenses just kind of play with the 11 guys that they got out there, but we try to get the right guys in the right places. So that takes some time. And that's certainly a big part of what we do. Coach Ashton Warner, our running backs coach, does a great job with that, with our running backs. Hey, I think this running back would be the best for this play. I think this running back would be the best for this play. He fits his skill set a little more. So we personnel that call sheet up, and I do it on game day, obviously, but everybody has input during the week, and there's times during the game that you'll say, hey guys, what do you think about this? Everybody good with this? And more in between series than during the series, you kind of get some thoughts, and then we go through that process of, all right, guys, this is what's coming up in the next series. Make sure you guys are ready for this, and we roll from there. But it's certainly not just me. I can promise you that I couldn't do it without our offensive staff. Those guys did a great job with our players, great job buying into some new things we were doing. And it is an absolute group effort. It is not a solo show just because I'm calling it off the sheet on game day. But those guys are absolutely involved, and just like listening to your players, you got to listen to your assistants. That's another thing I learned from Dirk Cutter is it empowers those assistants. They've got an idea and we put it in and we call it and it works. That's empowering them. Everybody likes that. So I try to listen to those guys as much as I can, and we like to have some fun with it. Now I told him, I don't need any suggestions for 5-yard games. I got enough plays on the call sheet that can get us 5 yards. Okay, don't come in with a new way that we can get 5 yards. I want to come in with a way that we could get an explosive. How do we get big plays down the field? And so those guys have fun with that. And you guys, we call some trick plays and we call some fun plays. And probably should have called more of them.
Interesting. I'm visiting with Coach Zach Grossi, offense coordinator and quarterback coach at Southern University. Coach, does balance on offense run to pass ratio, is that dictated by your opponent, or is there always a certain level you want to get as far as pass to run ratio, particularly on first down?
You always want to be balanced. So you've got the threat of run and pass on every down. But you talk about those run downs, those first and second down plays where you're not in a special situation, you're just in the open field, those first and second down plays. You always want a threat of run and pass. For us, a lot of that becomes flow of the game, opponent you're playing. If we're playing a team that's really big and stout that we know we're not just going to be able to cram the ball down their throat, then probably we got to do some different things. If it's a team we feel like we can run the ball and control the game, then we'll do that. And like I said, a lot of that is once you get into the game. The best offenses in football, they play fast. Their players play fast and confident, and they can adjust better than anybody. And we did a great job adjusting this year, at halftime, during the game. Hey, look, we had this game plan. This really isn't working. They're playing us in more of this front. Let's get to this. And our kids, it's a credit to our kids because we adjust and they don't even blink. I mean, they're just like, absolutely. It's a credit to our coaches for building an offensive system that's very flexible. We're able to mix and match players and put guys in different spots and pull different things up. So you always want to have balance, but I think a lot of that is the flow of the game. How is the game going? Do they have, who's hot? Even when we were changing quarterbacks this year, let's just ride the hot guy. Well, Gerard Sims got hot in the Jackson game. All right, we're going to ride him. Is there a certain play or a certain formation, that's working more than the rest of them? Then we're gonna stay in that. I think I try to be a play caller that calls what's working and don't get away from it if it's working. You got all those plays, you got big call sheets, but if something's working, just bleed them. Absolutely bleed them dry. And that's what we try to do. So we want to be balanced, but if we got them on the ropes and we've got something that's working, we're certainly gonna stay with that until they stop it. Because why, when you really think about it, why wouldn't you do that?
And you mentioned coach quarterback. Wow. That's always a popular position. I wonder why, Coach.
Something about it.
Well, people wonder about quarterbacks and how effective, and you guys rotated quarterbacks in. Was that basically, and if you can answer this, by design, and what does the fall have for the quarterbacks that you have coming back?
It was by design, and I think the quarterback position. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. All right, about 2 hours down the road from the University of Florida. Okay, so when I was growing up, Steve Spurrier was a huge deal in Florida, and he would roll those guys every play. All right, and now we're not gonna change them every play, but when you've got quarterbacks that have different skill sets, and those are some of your best players, why wouldn't you try to get both of those guys involved, or all three of those guys involved in the game plan? Like that's no different really than two running backs having different skill sets. So like we talked about, the tight end, those guys both have, the two guys we played with this year both have skill sets that are different, and based on the game and the situation in the game, we needed both of their skill sets. And I think it didn't affect our team. It didn't affect our offense. We put another quarterback in. Everybody's got to do their job. Nobody blinked, and it's a credit to our kids. It's a credit to our culture. But we got all those guys coming back, and I'm excited. I'm excited about all of them. And shoot, who knows? Who knows? We'll roll out there in game one. And we kind of like that. Nobody knows what they're going to see, because they got to prepare. They got to prepare for all of them, and I think they all possess a little bit of a different skill set. Anytime, the quarterback position, like you mentioned, it gets all the credit, gets all the blame. They touch it on every play. And, but using those guys, rotating them, I thought that was just the right thing to do this spring. And those guys, they did a great job. It's not easy when you're in there and you get a rhythm and you come out and then you got to go back in. But those guys didn't blink. They did a great job preparing throughout the week, understanding their package of plays for each of those guys. And while also, if one of them gets hurt, then the other one's got to be able to go the distance. So, it's a credit to those guys. Those guys do a great job preparing. Those guys do a great job competing. You know what I mean? Everything we do in practice is competing. We're an individual. We're competing hard, and no different than anybody on offense. Playing time is earned in practice. It's earned in your preparation, and it comes with competition and doing the right things during the week, like I talked about. And we got all those guys back during the fall, and who knows who will be week one. I'm certainly not going to tell anybody, and we'll just have to. We may put all three of them in there in next week or in week one. So we'll have to wait and find out. But it's a blessing to have three quarterbacks that have played, and really fired up about all those guys' future here at Southern University.
Well, Coach, you did have Skelton and I believe Lampley in the Grambling State game on I think one, maybe a couple plays. At least I know one play. Coach, why not Jackson State? That, oh my goodness, that's where I wanted to. I had been calling to see both two quarterbacks in on a play, and I got into Grambling State, so I guess I shouldn't complain. About that.
No doubt. No, like it comes back to, we're always trying to be creative. Credit to our offensive staff. We're always trying to be creative, find creative ways to attack people. We figure we put both those guys out there. That'll give them something to think about, something to talk about on the sideline. And, once again, credit to those players. They did a great job preparing, moving them around, getting in different roles. And we try to have fun with it. Our kids were really excited about that, practicing it and keeping it a secret. And, like I said, anytime, just because it's something that hasn't been done before doesn't mean it's a bad idea. So we think long and hard about the things that we do, and then we get in there as an offensive staff and we talk through things. And if everybody believes in what we're doing, even though it may not be the normal thing that people are doing, we're gonna go for it because we got confidence in our players. And the thing I always tell our offensive staff when we're trying to decide on plays, you're always trying to decide, what's the right plays and play number, different ways to attack people. If the play is getting the ball to one of our best players, we should be able to sleep at night. You got to live with that. If the play is designed to get the ball to the guys that can make plays for us, then we can live with that because it's a player's game. I played Division II football, and I always knew that I was going to coach, and I always would tell myself, I'm never going to forget that this is a player's game. The players really do. They make plays. They should get all the credit because it's a player's game, and coaches really just get in the way.
Well, Coach, it has been an interesting conversation here with you. Hopefully now the Jaguar Nation now can put a sense of ease at their mind because the offensive guy, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, he has a bright future. And the way this team ended the spring season, you can't help but be excited, Coach. You can't help but be excited and look forward to the fall season. As I wrap up this conversation, Coach, you were at Hampton University and at Southern University now. Did being there kind of help you, prepare you for being at Southern University?
Being at Hampton?
Yeah, as far as the culture.
Yeah, I think so. Just, I had really been in the NFL.
Right.
And Hampton was kind of my, that was kind of my first time back in college and being a college coach. And that was a lot of, I got a lot of good experience there. But I learned, I really do love Southern. I can't say enough about it. We have great leadership with President Belton and Coach Roman Banks, our athletic director, and now Coach Rollins. I love being here. Our family loves being here. Southern is definitely, my HBCU. I really do love it. I love our kids. I love the culture. I can't wait to see, Mumford Stadium packed out with the huge jukebox and everything that goes with it. We got some great games coming up this fall. We got a great home schedule. And, I really do. Like I said, there's not that many teams in college football that have a chance to win it all. And it's certainly going to be a hard road for us, and we got to do our part. But we got a chance, and really looking forward to a really, really special fall. And I can't wait to see Mumford packed out and see the jukebox rolling and the dancing dolls, and hopefully we can blow some light bulbs out on that scoreboard.
Well, I can truly say I would definitely be happy. Last but not least, this is kind of I always like to ask these type of questions. What has been your favorite food since you've been in Baton Rouge?
Ooh, that is tough. That is tough. My favorite food since I've been in Baton Rouge.
Or you can list a couple if it's one.
I love a good crawfish boil. I've certainly had my fair share of that. I love char-grilled oysters. I don't know. That's tough. I love it all. I don't know that I've had a bad meal since I've been in Baton Rouge. So I really do love them all. Like I said, that's part of why we love it here. We love the food. We love the people. And, I probably have to go with just a good old-fashioned crawfish boil or some char-grilled oysters.
Potatoes and corn? You had boudin balls?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Everything. Boudin balls, potatoes, corn, shrimp. We love it all.
Oh, unbelievable. Well, Coach, we've been going at it for a while here, and I'll let you go now.
All right.
It's been a pleasure. And hopefully, again, the Jaguar Nation, now, they can get a sense of knowing you now. This is official stamp, I'd say, being on the show, and look forward to seeing you in other media outlets as well. Appreciate the time. Hopefully you and your loved ones enjoy the rest of this beautiful weekend here in Baton Rouge, and we'll talk again real soon. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me on, and look forward to speaking with you guys in the future. Go Jags.
Go Jags.
All right.
Thank you, guys. All right. That was Coach Zach Grossi, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at Southern University. Some things we learned. Play calling. Putting up points. Just how they do things as far as game preparation, during the week, practice. A couple of things he mentioned. You earn it. And I think a lot of coaches will, they will always state that. You earn your spot in your playing time during the week. You really do. What do you think about the conversation with Coach Grossi? Let me know. You can email me, the Coles Brown Show at gmail.com. Also, Coles Brown Show Facebook Messenger page is open. Excited? Are you excited for this fall? Well, I'm going to be excited next because I'm going to take a quick time out. When I come back, I will visit with Coach Pettaway. Now, there's not really any basketball going on, but just kind of want to wrap up things with him as far as SWAC basketball and any other points of interest in the sports world. That's coming up next. You're listening to the Coles Brown Show.
Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wackenmaster Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is SWAC Alumni Association at yahoo.com.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I want to thank Coach Zach Rossi for appearing on the Coles Brown Show. Now, another coach, 2 coaches back to back. How about that? Coach Van Penaway. Coach Penaway, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Carlos. I'm just happy to be here. I hope everybody's doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing well, and I'm sure everyone is doing well. Boy, a beautiful, beautiful 85 degrees. The expected high in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Coach, can Huntsville top that?
Well, we're 74 degrees, and we're 74 degrees where I am, and the sun is out, and it's a great day. If it were not for me doing a honey-do list, I would be out on the water. But happy wife, happy life. So the missus is into arts and crafts, so I had to show my cultural side. So we're visiting arts and crafts this morning.
I always have a saying, I'm not henpecked, I just been pecked by the right hand.
By the right hand. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, you stay quiet back there, Dr. You in the same boat.
There you go.
Oh boy, unbelievable. Well, Coach, we missed you last week, but kind of want to wrap up our basketball conversations and looking forward to next season. And guess what? Getting some questions in for you as far as basketball. So we'll incorporate that as well by our listeners. How about that, Coach?
That's fine. That's fine. I just thought that I want to reemphasize once again. I thought all of the coaches in the SWAC and the personnel that help with the student athletes, I think they did an outstanding job to be able to pull off the SWAC season, and then of course the SWAC tournament. So my heart goes out to all of the people that were involved in keeping those athletes safe and giving them an opportunity to do what they love, and that's to get a good education, but on the basketball side, play college basketball.
I understand. Trust me. And I think the last time we talked, we also talked about at this point now, you're in the off season. You've done your evaluation of your program, what worked, what didn't. Now, and we've got several questions coming in about the transfer portal coming up. But now it's mid-May. Take us back in your days at Alabama A&M. What is on the agenda for your basketball program at this point right now?
Well, at mid-May, the hay is in the barn because now the kids are finished. We've had graduation. So now you've got that 2 to 3 week period in there between the end of the spring semester and the beginning of summer school. But prior to that, I think is where the coaches will really earn their money, because with that transfer portal out there, you got to re-recruit your own players. You got to make sure those kids are committed to you, and you got to show them that you're committed to them, because the NCAA has made it so easy for them to look beyond the borders that they currently are in. That they can see if that grass is green on the other side without a penalty. And I think that hurts the game, and it particularly hurts programs who've had a lot of success, and they've had that success because they've had some good players to come through, and when other people see them, now they're dangling that carrot out there for them to take it. And so the biggest job is for you, number one, is to recruit Re-recruit your own players.
Re-recruit.
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable. No, I'm agreeing with you, but let that sink in a bit.
Yep.
Got to re-recruit. Because Southern has lost, not only just Southern, I'm using them as a reference, but you've got each program lost, in some cases, several players.
Correct. So see, that's a problem. That's a problem. So you may have had certain needs and wants at the end of the season, and then you have something unexpected to come up. A kid comes in and say, well, Coach, I'm going to test the waters. Well, you may not have anticipated that. So it can wreak havoc on these rosters.
And you know, and that's the thing, Coach. Now that's something that you have to do. Thus the question now, is it still the best way? I haven't answered this. Still the best way to go through your program is recruiting high school seniors, bring them in as freshmen, and then they matriculate to their seniors. I still think that's the best way. However, Coach, now you got to re-recruit those players because of the transfer portal and the climate.
That's true. You may have a freshman, a high school kid that has a great season, and the other schools see it, and they convince that kid he needs to put his name in the portal, and you've lost that high school freshman. I mean, I'm sorry, that collegiate freshman.
Well, yes, Coach, but is there tampering going on?
Does the sun come up? Does the sun come up every day?
Yeah. I was being facetious there, but I've been accused of tampering several times.
Oh yeah. I accused you of that a few weeks ago. Yes, absolutely. I admit publicly. Yeah, I accused you of tampering. Yes, I did.
But I still love you, Coach Pettaway, though. I still love you.
Yeah.
But the significance of this, really, you've got to re-recruit, and this leads me to a question from Jack. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
He says, which SWAC men's team does Coach think made themselves contenders through recruiting and the transfer portal addition?
Well, see, we won't know that right now, Jack, because it's still too early. Because the kids are still deciding where they're going, and the SWAC, these coaches, they're not releasing very much information on who they're getting because they still have their eyes on other people. And when you put it out there that you have signed someone, then your chances of signing another player in that same position are reduced. So they're not giving out a lot of information.
I'm still trying to, and I shouldn't be emphasizing this, but Coach, that's really, you hear it all the time, but now you think about it. You have to re-recruit your player that you've already signed. And
right.
We've mentioned the word tampering. Wow. This.
They got ways of getting around that. They won't go to the kid directly, but they know who influences that kid. Let it be a AAU coach, a high school coach, JUCO coach, or a friend of the family. They get the word to that person. Hey, we're interested in your buddy, and then they tell him, and then next thing you know, that kid's in the transfer portal.
Wait a minute, Coach. Okay. Coach, you're not saying AAU coaches are innocent from all of this, are you saying that?
No, I'm. They control a lot of players.
The devil's in the details.
Yeah, they control a lot of players.
Dr. Prince, you had a question.
Yes, I had a question. Good morning to you, Coach, and I hope you're doing good in your honeydew list, man.
I'm doing well. I think I got an A today.
Oh, very good, very good. Then maybe next time she'll let you get on that water. Here's my question, Coach. As I begin to think about this transfer portal deal, could this not even be considered the modern day way of quitting and being rewarded for quitting?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Because a kid does not have to go through what he's going through in your program because he has it out. He has that ace. He's got that blind ace that you don't know about. He's waiting on it. Any little thing that does not go right in your program, they don't have to sit through it. They don't have to work through it. They got an ace in the hole, the transfer portal.
Well, and that's interesting because I remember years ago a local radio personality, he talked about him, playing, I guess, summer league, not really summer league, but what we would call brick program football. And you can start at an early age. And once he was going to quit, okay, because he wasn't getting any playing time. And his father told him, actually his father took a belt to him and said, no, you're not quitting. You're going to stay. You're going to work harder. And if you are a second team player, you will try to be the best second player team that you can be. Now,
toward the first. Yep.
Yeah. And now you're looking at also options. Student athletes have options to leave. But, it's interesting that some programs, you see it more so than others. And we're specifically talking about basketball, but it's also happened in other sports as well.
Oh, yes.
Like football.
Right, but see, it's just not opening up for basketball and football at the Division I level where these kids can transfer without having a penalty, without having to sit out. See, in sitting out, a lot of programs are not going to give you a scholarship to sit you out.
Right.
But now that has changed. That concept has changed because you're eligible right away, so they can take kids and during the course of my career, I've had players that played in summer leagues at home and were recruited. They were attempted to be recruited from under me. One SEC school, and at the time one Big 12. What was Texas A&M then? Big 12. I lost a kid to Texas A&M. I almost lost a kid to Vanderbilt because of summer league. The summer league teams, the players from the different schools, they tell their coaches come, and then they offer the kid the scholarship, and that's illegal. That's illegal. So now a kid is going to come to me in July and tell me, well, coach, I think I'm going to transfer. I said, no, you're not. And school starts in 2 weeks because
Are you still there, coach?
Right. That has opened up things for everybody. That transfer portal will not be a good thing for HBCUs.
Well, and coach, let me just ask you this. This is what we have you here for. At one point, scholarships were for 4 years, correct?
Correct, yeah.
When you signed. Now it's a year by year situation. Different dynamics. Is it pros and cons to either or?
I really like this. I would have liked to have seen us go back to the 4-year scholarship to give that kid some security, give that family some security. And once we commit to you, then we in turn expect you to stay committed to us. That's what I would like to see.
No, I understand. Yeah, because I guess I'm trying to see if this transfer portal, I think it was just going to happen anyway. But it seems like if it's a guaranteed 4-year scholarship, I think it would be less moving. But I could be totally wrong on that.
No. I agree with you. I agree. I think if the parents and those student athletes know that they got a 4-year scholarship, which most of the time means with summer school, you will get your degree. That's supposed to be the first and foremost thing in their mind anyway, to get the degree.
Yeah.
So you got a better opportunity of getting that degree if you sign a 4-year scholarship.
That is interesting. And I don't think you'll ever see that come back. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they'll go back to the 4-year scholarship.
Yeah. Well,
but see, it just hurts. To me, it just hurts programs like, you take a program like Prairie View. here they are, have demonstrated over the last 3 years that they're the best team in the SWAC. Now, 2, 3 of his top players are in the portal? That's going to hurt their program.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt Coach Smith in trying to replace all 3 of those guys.
And so, with that being said, that you always have these too early lists coming out. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I think you really have to wait till school starts to see where the programming is at. Now, Coach Smith has done a great job, and I'm sure he will continue to do a great job. But pluses and minuses. There's more minuses than pluses right now.
Absolutely.
That is going to be a tough situation. And Coach, I've wanted to put together a show where you have some AAU coaches on. It was kind of hard getting them on, and then too, even getting high school coaches to come on and to talk about what they don't like about the influence of AAU basketball coaches.
You really didn't
get commitments to do that either.
Now, Carlos, let me just say this now. All AAU coaches are not bad now. Because there's some great guys out there in AAU, but it's just like in our game now, Division I basketball. A few bad apples, then it spoils the rest of us.
Yeah, great.
And I
great
think
point.
that's what I think that's what is happening in AAU. You got some coaches out there that are looking out for themselves instead of those kids, and then that's giving all AAU coaches a black eye. Just like this cheating scandal in men's basketball has given all of the coaches a black eye, and that's not fair.
Yeah, but it is safe to say that they do have, in most cases, not all, tremendous influence.
Correct. Oh yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, got a question from a listener, Derek. Appreciate listening in from Atlanta, and he has at the end of his question, fear the brave. So that makes me think that he's an Alcorn State night. Okay.
Okay.
Boy, I tell you.
Fear the brave. What does Derek say? What does he say?
He says, Coach, do you see the work Bus is putting in? # we back. # fear the brave. Now, hold on just a second there, Derek. Let's not get too excited. But I understand your point.
Yeah,
got a couple of transfers. One, matter of fact, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, via Rider College.
Right. Well, look, let me just say this. Coach Bussey, I think he'll get the job done. That team this year, they had some high marks. But see, with the pandemic, nobody could consistently stay on top. And see, to me, to be honest now, I really feel like the pandemic hurt Prairie View.
Mm-hmm.
They were rolling until they had to shut it down. And when they shut it down, they were not the same team. So let's just see, let's just have a normal season and see where the cards fall. But yes, in answer, Derek, the Braves are not back yet, but they're on their way.
Yeah, I got to watch them. But it doesn't matter. When you say Alcorn, I watch them regardless. Because they are, and they've got a rich tradition in basketball. And to me, baseball. And they're trying, football, it is what it is. They're there.
Right.
From the outside looking in, I think they're trying to get the other sports.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. You got to look at all the sports. You got to look at a total program. And right now, who's been winning that Commissioner's Cup? Alabama State. But they have not won in football or basketball in quite some time. But they're taking home the trophy.
Yeah, total
because
package.
they're putting emphasis on those other sports. And they're coming out on top.
Yeah. And I have to do a better job of, getting more involved show-wise as far as the other sports. I mean, I know football, basketball, and baseball, we talk about that, but my goal is to do a better job with the other sports. And the track and field has been, it's had some outstanding outstanding programs. North Carolina A&T from the MEAC, tremendous.
Yep. And then you look at even in our own SWAC though. Look at what Prairie View has done outside of men's basketball. They've got championship teams in other sports that they don't get the coverage that the basketball team gets.
Yeah. Well, that's my goal, to get more involved with the other sports, track and field, bowling, golf. I found out today Southern, and I wanted to do a follow-up with Willie Scott about, is it both men's and women's golf program? Okay. So, more programs are coming on board.
But that's great. The pandemic has been so tough because when you look at the NBA right now, I can't give you a champion because of the pandemic and injuries. You don't know who's going to be available.
Well, for selfish reasons, I've kind of been looking at my team, and I've been worried most of this season, but it seems like now they're going to be tough out. I'm not going to say they're going to win it, but they're playing well, like Miami Heat.
Oh, yeah. They're playing well, but I'm going to tell you something.
It's going to be tough.
If the Nets are healthy, they better watch out for them three. You got three players. Most of the time in basketball, if we feel like if you can win 3 of the 5 positions on the floor, most of the time that equals a win for your program. And so I'm looking at the Nets. The Nets can win 3 of the 5 positions on the floor if they're healthy. It's going to be tough.
Do you think? But you haven't seen them for a length of time. All 3 play together. And same thing with the Lakers. Will that be an issue that both teams will have to try to get that straight quickly?
I think so, Carlos.
And watch out for Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, now they got the monster in the middle. See, nobody's going to be able to neutralize Embiid. But is he going to play big, or does he want to be a stretch 5?
Well,
he needs to
Doc Rivers needs to
keep him in the paint. If he keeps him in the paint, then they're going to be unbeatable.
Yeah, to me, he has an impact such as Anthony Davis. Davis, that he's athletic, he's long. That's just tough. I mean, that was a big difference to me in the finals last year. You could not. Miami didn't have an answer for Anthony Davis. We'll talk some NBA coming up because they're getting ready to have their play-in. Wow, that's unbelievable. I can't get used to that, Coach. But it is what it is.
That's right.
Well, Coach, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm glad the honeydew list, as you have succeeded in that. I have as well, but I always can get better.
There you go. Well, thanks for having me on, and everybody be safe, and God bless.
God bless and be safe. Thanks, Coach. That was Coach Van Pettaway here on the Carlos Brown Show. I'll take a quick time out. When I come back, one of the hardest working men in sports, Charles Edmond. He's just completed an assignment in Biloxi. He'll recap the softball championship. Once again, congratulations to Alabama State, all the participants, but a special shout out to Southern and Alcorn State women's softball team. They exceeded many expectations. They did so. And then he'll preview, from his perspective, the SWAC baseball tournament. And guess what? As much as we talked about Prairie View A&M baseball, they improved. I'm sorry, just in my opinion from the outside looking in. Number 1 seed out of the West, Jackson State. Number 1 seed out of the East, undefeated conference play. But now, wipe the slate clean, 0-0, but you can't dismiss what Jackson State has done and what Prairie View has did in this season. And then also you got a tough Alabama State team and a Grambling State team that wants to improve on how they've done in the past in the tournament action. And then, of course, Southern University. Baseball, consistently inconsistent this season, but hey, they're the 3rd seed. But we'll give the particulars on it. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Him too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster, on the air or behind the scenes, who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show, hour number 2 here, and I'm going to visit with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles, good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I said you're one of the hardest working men in sports. I mean, you hadn't hit the beach in Gulfport / Biloxi yet. The tournament's over.
The tournament's over, and I'm whipped. I'm as a former baseball coach, the late Willie Rat McGowan would say, I'm wore out, not worn out. Whoa, W-O, I'm wore out after a long but exciting week, especially for the Lady Braves. They were the talk of the tournament and knocking out the 2 number 1 seeds. Weather played a part in it, and just it was a long, exciting week. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, once again, congratulations to Alabama State. But Charles, I said special shout outs to Alcorn State and Southern softball team. I mean, Southern 2 losses were by 1 run, and they were leading in both of those games, and just couldn't. They weren't able to finish, but they can build on the momentum of playing well in the softball tournament. Alcorn State exceeded my expectations, and I think everyone's. But look, they make it to the championship game, so it's something to build on. Correct?
Absolutely. Talking with Coach Rankin after the game, obviously disappointed. That, just didn't have any gas in the tank, and that's something that's going to probably be addressed. I think, just the format, and once you get to this point, because you're playing 2 games, back to back, and it's a true double elimination tournament. So
right,
so you had to play. You played Bama State, you beat them yesterday, you got to play them again today, which is fine. That's the way the double elimination works. Unlike baseball, it's a whole different animal. But I just think you just didn't have enough gas in the tank. I mean, that was their 5th elimination game that they had to fight through. It was a tough game, and then had to come right back like an hour and change later and play them again and play again. That was that's tough. And so I think it may be addressed. It may not change, but I think it's something to talk about. But the Lady Braves, I mean, they were really worried about not making a tournament at all. They had a couple of wins. They were struggling. And then they just kind of found their rhythm. They found their mojo. They beat Jackson State 2 out of 3. And then they controlled the Eastern Division, then had a late game loss to Bama State at home, which gave Jackson State the West. And then due to the fact some other tiebreaker scenarios, they dropped all the way down to a 4 seed. And so that's where they ended up. But, just watching them all year long, for them to play the way that they played, the poise, the pitching, I mean, they really, really played well down the stretch. They won 6 out of 8 going into the tournament. And so you felt like they were going to do something. Did anyone think they would make that deep of a run? I think a lot of people didn't. But Joseph Rankin felt comfortable that if we played well, solid, that we could make a deep run. And we did. We just ran out of gas at the finish line.
Yeah, well, I can understand that, but still, what the significance of what they did? Hey, if you can give out, a special award for Alcorn State, yeah, they deserved it. Losing 8-1 in the championship game, but boy, the game with Southern University, a 1-run win, and being in Gulfport, how was that experience facility wise? I got a chance to watch some of it on the SWAC Digital Network, but how was the facilities there and just the whole ambience of the tournament?
Well, first of all, we have a really good alumni, really big alumni chapter in Gulfport, number one, and they showed up and showed out. 2, we had 3 players, all seniors from Gulfport. They all grew up together. They all played softball together at junior high and high school and at Alcorn. Then our head coach grew up 20 minutes from here. So the storyline was set up pretty nicely, first of all. As far as the facilities are concerned, we were really helped by the fact that it's turf, it's several softball fields, and it was a pretty good setup in terms of just the way everything was set up nicely and going to different fields. We were supposed to play everything on one field, but then once lightning kicked in day one, we had to do something to get caught up, and to have several fields at your disposal help get you caught up. And I think that's something that the coaches and everyone was happy about. I think we're probably going to go to separate fields and different fields maybe next year when we come back here, just to kind of speed things along. I think the coaches kind of like that concept instead of playing every game on one field. I understand why you do it, but down here on the coast this time of year, you're going to have weather, you're going to have lightning, and you're going to fall behind. So how do you get caught up? The facilities look really nice. The grounds crew did a great job in keeping everything tidy. And this tournament, and I interviewed Gulfport's mayor yesterday, and we always talk about numbers and finances. He says the SWAC softball tournament is $1 million impact to the economy here in Gulfport. So I think the folks in Gulfport want it. I think the coaches want it. I think the players want it. I think everybody wants it and wants it here for a short period of time. So far, so good. I think the facilities are nice and everything turned out fine. Yeah.
Well, Charles, I'm getting a message here from Barry. Thanks. It escaped me. Rankins played baseball at Southern University and Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Wow. Interesting. I didn't know that, Charles.
Yeah.
Why
you
didn't tell me that? No, that's on me. Thanks, Barry. I mean that. I didn't recognize that. I didn't really know that. Shame on me. Shame on me. A Southern connection again, huh?
Yeah. And look, he's done a really good job. He's been really solid and I can tell you that he plays the game of softball by the book. We had a couple of instances the last couple of days here at this stadium. They have a rule that indicates no cleats on this turf field. And when in Jackson State came the other night, their pitcher had on cleats, and Rankin recognized it, and he basically stopped the game and let the umpires know that this is the case. The director of umpires went to the book. Actually, it's a facility rule, not necessarily a conference rule. But yeah, so it was one of those things in which it took Jackson State out of their game right at the start, and the Lady Braves eliminated Jackson State. But Joseph Rankin is a guy, straight shooter, great respect for the game, plays it by the book. He wants to do things the right way, and he expects you to do things the right way. And if you don't, he's gonna call you out on it. And that's he wants it fair. I guess that's the bottom line, and you can respect that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want an unfair advantage for other teams. Because you could have used plastic spikes and if plastic cleats, and if he said if that was the case, he would have brought plastic cleats, but that wasn't the case. So I mean, you get it, and he just wants it to be fair for everybody, and you respect that, and I think he won a lot of folks over this week, and just the way the team played and how they handled themselves, and just coming up short.
Well, you're absolutely right. I'm visiting with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Congratulations once again to Alabama State 2021 SWAC softball champions. Now, baseball, which you will be heading up very shortly to Madison, Alabama. The seedings or the seeds are out. Jackson State, number 1 out of the East. Prairie View A&M out of the West. Charles, your thoughts on the baseball tournament coming up in 2021, the 2021 season? Who's your favorites? Give us a team that you think will make a lot of noise, may not necessarily win it. What do you say?
I think the dark horse team is going to be Alabama State. I know Southern's the defending champions, and you got to put them in the conversation as well. But I saw Bama State with my own eyes recently, and they're a team that, I was told they lost like 10 one-run games during the regular season. And so that's worrisome in itself if you're in the bracket with them. I think they're my dark horse team. But I think clearly the storyline is Jackson State going 24-0 in conference play. They're going to be the talk of Madison, clearly. But I think the more surprising story is Prairie View.
Yeah.
I mean, Prairie View coming out of nowhere, and Dr. Prince can probably talk about it a little bit, but the Panthers coming out of nowhere. I mean, Antoine Riggins, 4th seed in the West, number of years, and I think they snuck up on everybody. And, it was Grambling's division to lose, and Prairie View toppled them. And so Prairie View is number 1 seed in the West, even though at this point seedings don't really matter, as we saw in the softball tournament. I mean, the 2 number 1 seeds were knocked out. And you just never know how these things go in the SWAC postseason. So I think that my dark horse team's going to be Bama State. And as we've talked about, the pressure's on Jackson State to get it done now. Because, you go 24-0, and this is a whole bigger subject, but a team like that probably deserves some at-large consideration, considering what they've done, but it's probably not going to happen. They got to win the tournament to go to the postseason. And it's just a whole nother animal when you get to the SWAC tournament. The pressure is on. I mean, when was the last time Jackson State was truly challenged? I remember the Alcorn series at Jackson. I think we beat them, they beat us 6-4 one game, but the other 2 games were 7 innings, and most of the games that Jackson has won has been 7 innings. It's been 3 or 4 out of the 24, but they haven't really been tested probably in a month. And so, other than if you look at ULM. And so what's going to happen when they get tested? They get down 2-0. They get down 3-0. What's going to happen then? And that's kind of what I'm looking at. Clearly they're really good, and I've changed my tune on how good Jackson State really is. They're going to have to get it done in the tournament. They've got all the pieces you need. They got speed. They lead the nation in stolen bases. They can hit it all over the yard. They've got pretty good pitching. But in the tournament, it's pressure. And can you get it done for 4 days starting Wednesday? That's going to be the question. We'll see.
Well, if we can, Wednesday, May 19th, the first game of the day at 9 a.m., number 2 West Grambling State versus number 3 East Alabama A&M. Charles, everybody on paper, or prognosticators will say Grambling State should be heavily favored in that ball game. Grambling State, that a lot to prove as well. A victory over Jackson State. How do you see that first game going?
I saw Alabama A&M. They got a young, fiery, passionate coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and because of the fact that they're playing in their own backyard, that means something. Madison is just right next door from Huntsville. You might as well say it's on the outskirts of Huntsville. So it's kind of a home game for them. And I think they're going to use that as fuel. I do think, though, Grambling is the better team, and I expect Grambling to win the game. But if Alabama A&M gets a full head of steam and they get Grambling on their heels, remember, this was Grambling's division to lose. Now, all of a sudden, they're the 2 seed. It probably doesn't matter, but just thinking about that whole scenario, I do expect Grambling to win, but if A&M gets that first game and puts Grambling in the loser's bracket, watch out for A&M.
Then, I guess, 30 minutes after the conclusion of the game 1, 45 minutes, something like that. Number 2, East Alabama State versus West number 3, Southern University. Intriguing ball game. Alabama State, a hot team. Southern has been inconsistent, in my humble opinion. Game 2.
Game 2, again, Southern's the defending champion, so you can't count them out. They have struggled this year. There's no question about that. Bama State, they really are impressive in terms of just their physique and the way they look when they come to the plate. I mean, they look like a football team. If you look at their roster, 6'2", 225, 6'1", 215. Most of those guys can hit for power. They probably have the deepest pitching staff in the conference. I think they've got 10 or 11 arms they can throw at you. So pitching's not going to be a problem. And they're only playing 2 hours from home. So it's going to be kind of a pseudo home game, a situation for them where they don't have to travel that far. I'm going to go with Bama State. Even though Southern's the defending champs, and you got to keep an eye and a half on them because they are that, and they can elevate their game. I think right now, Bama State's playing about as well as anybody. They lost 10 games by a run, so they've been right there. They easily could have probably won the East themselves the way they're looking at it. But I think they're the better team right now, playing better. I'm going to go with Bama State.
I got about 2 minutes left, so we'll have to combine look at the last 2 games of the day. Number 1 overall seed, East number 1 Jackson State against West number 4 Texas Southern. Wow. I mean, Texas Southern in the 4th spot. They've been inconsistent. They've struggled, but boy, can you really count against Coach Rob? Wow, what a matchup. Charles, what do you think? Quickly.
It's chess versus checkers. Jackson State wants to play checkers and go quickly. Texas Southern, Rob's going to slow the game down. Jackson's playing with a full head of steam. I got Jackson State. Texas Southern's really struggled.
And then last but not least, in the West, Prairie View A&M. Number 1 seed in the West, East 4 seed Alcorn State.
The Braves can't hurt themselves. They've got to be able to make routine plays. That's hurt them all year long. And a lack of midweek games as well to try to develop that roster. But if the Braves get a full head of steam and put Prairie View on the ropes a little bit, who knows? I mean, the Braves could be that dark horse just like the softball team was. So I'm rolling with the Braves, Carlos. I mean, they're heavy underdogs, but it's the SWAC tournament. We'll see what happens.
Oh, my. Come on, Charles.
Yes, sir.
I understand, but, oh, my goodness, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the number 1 seeds in the East and West make it to the next day. But guess what, Charles? If you're right, I'll dance at your renewal of your wedding vow. How about that?
I'm going to throw a big crawfish party. You can dance at that. How about that?
Okay, well, I don't eat crawfish, believe it or not. And being in South Louisiana, who go figure that? Have a safe travels to Alabama, Madison. I forgot the name for a minute. And we'll talk with you next Saturday. Safe travels.
Stay safe. Appreciate it.
All right, quickly, want to thank the guests in the guest menu today. Willie Scott, Associate Director of Sports Information at Southern University. Coach Zach Grossi, getting a lot of good feedback on that interview. offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Southern University, Coach Van Pettaway and Charles Edmond. If you care to donate, you can always to a worthy cause, the Carlos Brown Show. The Cash App is the Carlos Brown Show. Dr. Prince, quickly, who do you have this Sunday night?
Well, we're going to have Associate Commissioner Dr. Jason Cable and the SWAC Baseball Coaches Liaison and head coach of Pine Bluff, Carlos James.
Oh, that'd be exciting. Tell Coach James, better luck next year.
I'm definitely going to tell him.
I'll text him that as well. Everybody, appreciate you tuning in for this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Until next Saturday at 10 a.m. for the Carlos Brown Show, which you can hear exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. You stay safe, and as always, peace and God bless.